Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the weekly sales training. I'm so glad you guys are here. And I would tell you that we've kind of mixed it up a little bit between freeconference.com and between Zoom. And we decided to go on Zoom with the option that you can listen with PowerPoints in the background, or you can listen, or you can watch it on video and watch the PowerPoints in the background. Obviously, the message is the message. So we're glad that you're with us. We're glad that we can add value to you. Last week's, unfortunately, the reason we did change, and I'm just giving you guys the whole scoop and why we changed from free conference. We've had trouble recording free conference, and it has not let us know until after we've talked for 20 minutes. Last week, I was in the middle of a training and it stopped recording, and no more Bart voice. So, because of that, we're not going to do that anymore. I'll be able to review the recording before we send it out. Just be a lot more professional, a lot more efficient. So, thank you for your what am I looking for? Your patience. Yeah, definitely your patience with all this. Now, what I want to talk about, a couple of weeks ago, we got into talking about Martinelli, and Paul developed a sales training program in conjunction with Belfort, a number of other people. And I'm going to go over a little bit about that today. We're going to hit on it quick. We, of course, are going to be here for 20 minutes. And so it'll be pretty much a hard stop at 20 minutes. Some of it, again, is a review, but that's okay because repetition is the mother of skill. On my left here, you can't see it, but I've got probably 6 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 books that I read a lot. And I read some of them over and over and over again. I'm listening to this one, Inner Excellence book, which, if you watch the Super Bowl, AJ Brown a few weeks ago was on his bench and reading this book. So I thought, if AJ Brown is going to read this book on the bench as a player, I'm going to go get it. So that's a book I've been reading constantly. Another one is Jack Canfield's Success Principles, which to me is one of the best ever. And I read a lot constantly. Why do I read things over and over again? Because I got a good memory. It's just short. And I believe that's true for you and me too. So let's have some mercy with me on this and understand that I want you to be experts at this. I don't want you to just hear it one and done. I want you to be an expert at this. We went to the studio probably what's it been now? 2.5 weeks ago. And one of our goals was to take this content and record it at the studio. Well, we only had 2 days, and this one didn't make it on the agenda. So, because of that, I'm going to do it this way, and then you guys will always have it, and it'll always be fresh. Fair enough? All right, let's rock and roll. So, a relationship is characterized by agreement, mutual understanding, or empathy. You all get that that's an important part of any relationship. So, what that means for you is that rapport is important no matter what, that we have to make communication possible and easy. Would you agree with that? I mean, think about everything that's happened in you and I's life. Anytime there's a breakup, it's because of communication and rapport got broken. What you and I want to do in this series is be aware, be conscious of our rapport all the way through the process. So, rapport is the word I want you to always think about. Get rapport early, keep it, check it late. That will result in a close. Here's what I know. I believe people don't buy from you because of certainty. We'll talk about that later. But a lot of that certainty is you. I mean, I think a lot of times customers come in ready to buy. They're just trying to find the right person to buy from. So I think it's really important that you and I continue to build that that certainty throughout. I one of my clients is in Alton, Illinois, and one of the salespeople that works at that dealership is a guy by the name of Tim Lane. Tim is so good at building relationships with his people. He's so good at sharing photos after they buy their car. But Tim works and really has a business that's developed on repeat and referral relationships. So is Ryan, who works at that dealership. So they build rapport. They understand relationships are everything. Look, I make a lot of mistakes in my business. I'm great at relationships. I'm not always great at business. So I've got people around me that help me with that. And what I know, though, is that I have rapport with my people. If I don't, I understand when it breaks and I get really quick to fixing it and do whatever I need to do that. So rapport is critical for you and me. All right. By establishing, building, and maintaining rapport with your prospect, you can take them through a process of influence. Now, I want to stop you there. By establishing, building, and maintaining rapport with your prospect, look, I think this is true at home too. By establishing, building, and maintaining rapport with your spouse, with your kiddos, you can influence them better. They look at you as an expert and authority better. So I think it's really important for us to have rapport in every area of our life, showing them how you can solve their problem, meet their need, and satisfy their want. Look, all your family members, they may have a problem, they have a need, they want you to satisfy their want. Now, Valentine's Day is about 2 days from the recording of this, and I will say that you men that are listening to this, we better meet their needs and satisfy their wants. And I say that with a little chuckle, but it's true, man. We've got to nurture that rose that's our spouses. And if you know what they say, you can get anything you want if you help enough people get what they want. And I don't mean that in any way other than what it sounds like. You and I have things we want in a relationship. We have things we want in relationships with our business partners. We have things we want in our relationships with the people that we serve. Help them get what they want, and then you'll get what you want. It's just a fact of life. Rapport is not manipulation. Rapport is not commonality. I've said this 3 weeks in a row, but I just want to make sure you get that. Obviously, manipulation, you don't want to report, you don't want manipulation with people. I did some did a in what I do. I looked into adding content to the platform that you most of you watch and have. We currently have 39 sales training videos on our platform, and we're going to do more. So I looked at other people in the space to figure out if they want to partner up and put theirs on my platform. And we're having negotiations with a number of people. I also just did, as you may or may not know, 70 brand new videos on leadership and communication. So those will be on there probably by the end of February. At this point, since we're halfway through February, it's probably going to be more like the end of March. So and I hired somebody that will allow me to take my iPhone and then do something in front of the green screen here to my right, flip it on, and so those will be on there too, as well as the ones that you're seeing here. We're going to get those on there too. But here's the point. I dealt with one company that just was super high pressure. And once I made an inquiry into their content and if we could be partners, they have a plan, but it was really, really expensive. And then they're super high pressure. And that's manipulation. And because I'm not certain yet, I'm not certain because I'm still shopping. I'm not certain because they didn't convince me. The value that they gave me wasn't worth the price. It just didn't add up to me. So because of that, I'm still shopping. That's the same thing with your people. You can't high pressure people into buying something. Commonality, that's just flat out lying. I get that you're going to have clients that went to the same high school as you did. Great, make it real. I get you're going to have clients that their kids play soccer and so do yours. Make it real. I get all that. The reality is that if it is not true, do not say it. Be a person of massive authenticity. And I say that a little tongue in cheek. My name is Bart, and I'm your friend. The reason I say tongue in cheek is because when I was young, I was my 20s, early 30s. I was not a very, more 20s, early 20s, late, I kind of flipped it. But I wasn't the most honest person on a car lot. And I'm not, I'm not proud of that. I think I was a slug, frankly. And I had some life changes happen in my life, and it caused me to start looking in the mirror and be more of integrity. And one of those was my faith. But today I'm really, 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 really call myself out. If there's anything that has a little sugar on the sugar on the muffin, or is that even a thing? Or the ketchup on the hot dog. In other words, if I'm exaggerating, I need to nip it in the bud. And I would tell you when I say that I did that, my early late 20s is when I stopped. That is not true. As I think about it, it happened into my 30s as well. Today I can say I'm a person of integrity and I'm a person of honesty, but man, I wasn't so much then. And if I make a mistake by saying something that isn't true, I'm calling myself on it right away. And if I have to, I'm going to say to the person that I said it to, tell them the truth immediately. So that's a really big deal. All right. The area where most people fail in sales is confusing rapport with commonality. People just don't want to buy from people just like them. They want to buy from an expert. And we use the example of attorney. You're not going to buy from an attorney just because he and you both play pickleball on Saturdays. It's not going to happen. You're going to buy in the deepest sense. You're going to buy from that person because of the fact that you trust them. That's really it. And you think they know their stuff. Years ago, I told you the story, but I'll repeat it. I had an attorney because I had an ad in a paper that, an ad, and then when I sold the person the car, there was a bank fee, and I charged the bank fee on top of the selling price. Now, this person had bought 3 or 4 cars from me, and I didn't think anything of it. But somebody, friend of this person I sold the car to, told him, hey, that's not legal. If they advertised it for, I think it was 49.95, they have to sell it for that. And this guy, instead of calling me and asking me, he never did. He got an attorney. An attorney was really good. And my attorney I got was from Toastmasters. And I liked him. He had hair down to his back. He was a surfer dude. I liked him. He was a cool dude. But man, he sucked as an attorney. And I will tell you that eventually it all worked out, but not because of him. So what I want you to be careful is that understand people buy, yes, they want to like you. They can't, you can't be a jerk, but they like you because you ask questions and listen. That's where they really like you. I was at a party one night and I met this lady, and she was from the local chamber. And she asked me a little bit about her, and I told her that I was a leadership coach, and I had been in automotive for 40 years, and I help managers become better leaders so that it results in more profit for the business. She said, that's fascinating. And then I said, so what about you? What do you do? I swear to you, 47 minutes later, she's still talking. Finally, after about 50 minutes later, and I really have to go to the bathroom, I say, excuse me, I walk away. Later, she walks up to me and says, man, thank you so much for sharing your story. You are so interesting. Dude, I didn't share my story. She did all the talking. People love to talk about themselves. So when you ask and listen, and you listen intently and you ask with purpose, and then you take that information to make a direct statement, that's when everything changes. Look, I do a coaching program for managers. And there's 4 parts to the coaching program. You know what? You want to know what they are? Now, this doesn't have anything to do with you listening to this because this is not a manager class, but I will tell you it has everything to do with you. 4 common components, the components of being a great coach, which I call an activator. Number 1, active listening. Listening with your body, listening with your mind, listening with your eyeballs, listening with your ears, obviously. Listen to what's said, listen to what's not said. Stephen Covey wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and he said, listen first to understand. Let that soak in. Listen first to understand, then to be understood. You get that? Listen first to understand, then to be understood. So, what's that say to you? That says that you need to shut up and listen. But of course, until you next number 2, ask questions, open-ended in most cases, until you ask questions, you don't have anything to listen to, do you? Unless somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm looking for a 4-door Bronco, preferably brand new. Listen. And then, of course, you and I want to know why. What do they want? Why do they want it? Who are they? And we're going to show them how to get it. Isn't it the 4 aspects to sales? There's 12 steps, but it's going to waste. 4 steps. Number 1, what do you want? You don't go up to them and say, hey, how you doing? I'm Bart. What do you want? No, they're going to tell you that pretty quick. Hey, I saw a car online. I'm looking at it. And then when you and I ask a question right under that, why is that important to you? Now they tell you their story. And then from that, who are you, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer? And then later, we're going to show them how to get it. So what do you want? Why do you want it? Here's the thing that I see a lot of times in sales. We know what they want, And then we take them out to it. I want to know why they want it. I want to know like five reasons why they want it. Why? Because later on, when we get into the negotiation, which of course isn't going to be negotiation because they're just going to say yes, right? So later on, when we get into it, what's going to happen is we know why. So we can say, hey, Billy, you said you wanted a long bed because you need to put your jet skis in there. So this meets that need. Good for you. High five. You also said that you wanted one that had a four door because you want the littles to be able to be in the back seat safe. This has a great sale. This has a great safety record. Good for you. Way to go. High five. You said you wanted to have something with that was good on gas because you're traveling so far and taking the jet skis and the kids to the lake. This has this gas mileage. Way to go. So you're reinforcing, it's brilliant. Think about it, right? You're reinforcing what they said. It ain't about you. Listen, ask, listen, ask, listen, ask. Number three for a coach, direct communication. What's that mean? Hey, Billy, here's what I think will work for you based on what you told me. I think you need something that's going to be reliable. This will do that for you. It needs to have good gas mileage. This will absolutely do it for you. You need that long bed and you need that back seat. You need safety. This will work for you. So you're eventually going to say something. You're going to make a direct statement, but why are they going to listen to you? Because they trust you. Number four, listen is number one. Ask questions is number two. Ask, listen, ask, listen. Direct conversation or a direct piece that you're going to give them. And number four, you built trust. If you don't do the ask and listen part, you know, and I know you've heard this before, it's almost silly. 80% of the time, you got two ears and one mouth, right? But 80% of the time, you should be listening, 20% talking. That's why introverts work in this business because they know when to shut up. That's why I struggled at first because I didn't know when to shut up. It's, so when I say listen, ask, direct communication, that builds trust. Way to go. All right. For purposes of rapport, to establish an instant connection, usually within 4 seconds. Now, how in the world do we do 4 seconds? By paying attention. When you say welcome to Billy Bob Motors, pay attention to the tone that they come up with and mirror it, right? If they've got and read them before you see them. If they're walking up direct like they're a high D personality and they're just in control, then walk up there too with that same. Don't try to overpower them, but be equal. Because one thing about high Ds, they want to control you. And but they also really respect somebody like them, right? They don't respect people that are weaker than them. The example of a high D and weakness, and I don't mean this. Please don't. I mean, be careful. I'm going to be careful the way I say this. High Ds are direct. Their number one fear is to lose control. The opposite of a high D is an S. Their number one fear is confrontation. Yeah, confrontation. They don't like confrontation. Sometimes a D can look at an S as weakness. Sometimes an S can look at a D as a flat out jerk. So those two are opposites of each other. I'm an I personality. I can talk. I've got some charisma. The opposite of an I is a C. C's are very deliberate. They're organized. And they look at an I and say they're scattered. An I looks at a C and says they don't have emotions. So we're all different. We've got to be able to read each other. That's why I think DISC is so important for you to take on your own and for you to understand. To establish yourself, we've talked about this a number of weeks. And I want to, again, go back over this again to just remind you you're an expert and a trusted advisor. You want to build and maintain what? Certainty. Absolutely, positively, 100%. And you want to establish yourself as a leader in the conversation. Love that. Because look, if they're going to hire you as an attorney, they know all these things to be true. They're not going to hire you as an attorney if they don't think you know what you're doing, or a doctor, or a car salesperson. Got it? Remember in the old days, we used to say, I'm brand new. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here to help you. Dude, whoever said that, they were wrong, period. You've been lied to. People don't want to buy from somebody, especially in 2025, that doesn't know what they're doing. All right. Sales is at the highest levels of transference of emotion. We've talked about that. We're not going to go over it again today. again, this is a little bit of a review because I want you to get this stuff down. The primary emotions being what? Certainty. If you and I can help them get certainty, you and I can win this game. And it becomes a win-win, not a win-lose. Okay, what certainty is? Certainty is having a firm conviction that something is the case. See, if you think about it, when they come in, they might be two on the certainty scale. That's why you and I get paid because we want to move them down the certainty scale. Now, once we do that, they have certainty about us and they have certainty in the product and certainty in the dealership, which we'll talk about in a second. Then now you got it. Excuse me, you need them to be tens all the way through. And it's a fact, and it's definitely true. If it is a fact that is definitely true or an event that is definitely going to take place, that's certainty. It's a they believe it. They believe it's true. And because of that, they are following you. And we talked about this a moment ago. They have to have certainty that you're an expert. So look, if you're selling 6, 7 cars a month, you are not coming across as being an expert because you're not super confident yet. And it's okay. It's part of what everybody goes through. But the 15 or 20 car a month person has the evidence that they're an expert. So that's 5 or 6 car a month person that's consistently there. You need to change your dialogue to yourself. And how are you going to change your dialogue? What are you kidding me, Bart? Yes, I'm not kidding you, by the way. You change your dialogue by this. Hear me out. I am an expert. Everybody say that. I am an expert. You've got to say, I am with certainty. I am a 20 car a month person. But you can't do it once a month. You got to do it 5, 6, 7 times a day. You're out in the lot and you're looking for a customer. I am a superstar at this. I am an expert. I build relationships. I am a person that builds relationships. I am a stud at this. I am a studette at this. You a lot of times just raking through the garbage of that goes on in your head is important. You're an expert. Number two, they have to have certainty that your product is going to solve their problem and meet their needs. And how do they know that? Because you ask great questions, listen, ask and listen, ask and listen. Now you're going to take them, you're going to give them a direct communication that this product is going to serve them, and you're going to show them why it meets their needs because they told you what they needed, right? Certainty that F-150 will solve their problem and meet their needs. We're going to talk about problem solving. That's a big deal. Next one, certainty that your dealership operates with integrity and trust. You've got to overcome that. If they question that, you might have to give the car away for them to buy. I'm just saying. All right. So that's us for today. We've talked a lot today about a review of what rapport is. Thank you for that. Study this stuff. We'll get deep next week. We'll go a little bit next week over some new stuff, but also I want to talk about the conscious and unconscious at a whole new level. Appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for joining us on these Wednesdays. Give me some feedback on how we can make it better. Thanks, everybody. God bless you.